Good afternoon, class. Welcome back. Um, Hope you guys had a wonderful spring break. And before we begin with today's lesson, I want to go over some couple things before we embark on the last marking period for Algebra 2. Um, the last couple of days for marking period 3 has been very, very chaotic and dysfunctional. Some of the part was due to myself, some of the part was due to students not turning in the work on time. But most importantly is that we are dealing with the unforeseen circumstances that, you know, like no other that we have seen. The coronavirus, as you guys have, if you guys were keeping up with the news, slowly it's going on the downward trend, but the end is nowhere in sight. If the schools close until the remainder of the year, uh, we won't be able to see each other at all until like fall. So it's really important that if we are going to continue this remote learning for the remainder of the school year, for the marking period 4, I want to make sure that the policy is set into place so that no one's going to be confused about their grades. I have received hundreds and hundreds of emails for the last couple days in the marking period because every single time you guys submit something either late or not on time, I get a notification and it floods my email like crazy. And it's not just your class, but for all the other classes that I've been dealing with, it follows the same suit. What I need you guys to understand is that starting from marking period 4, I'm gonna make it a lot stricter than my marking period 3. I gave you guys a lot of benefit of the doubt on marking period 3 because we have started this remote learning in the middle of the marking period. A lot of us were confused as to what really needed to be done, how to turn in the assignments and things like that. Some of you guys have not been turning in the assignments at all, starting when we started the remote learning. Now, I know that it gets comfortable when you guys are learning at home, but from this point onwards, I am going to implement this. Make sure that the due date is kept. If you guys are not turning in to me something on time, I am not going to give you credit for it for classwork. It will be a 0. No questions asked. Do not, I emphasize this, do not ask me for retakes or for redos or anything like that. Classwork is, like I said, it's classwork. Homework and those kind of things, it's going to be remaining 0. I am not going to accept it no matter what on marking period 4. Do not ask me for, oh, Mr. Kim, I missed this. Can I remake up for this? No. Because once I give you guys a 0 for it, that's it. Do not ask me for it once again. It's 10% of the grade, so it does count for something, but at the end, it's really not going to impact your grade as much. Also, do not send me your work on email. My emails are flooded with other things, so please do not send me work on email. Upload everything on Google Classroom. If it's not on Google Classroom, I am not accepting it. So let's say that you run into technical issues. Now, I don't know what it is because only some of you guys are sending me work on email, but a lot of you guys are able to turn in assignments on Google Classroom. Figure out how. If it's a file format PDF or that JPEG file that you guys take pictures from home, you guys should be able to upload it. There's no issues with those two files whatsoever on Google Classroom. Just because it's easier to send it to me on my email doesn't mean that I like it that way. It's much easier for me to grade if everything's on Google Classroom. So from this point onwards, if it's not on Google Classroom, just accept a 0 from me and that's it. Do not ask me for, oh, but I turned it on email. Nope. Read the instruction. Upload everything on Google Classroom. And if any excuses regarding health and personal issues, make sure you get an email from your parents or admin. Otherwise, if you just simply plainly tell me that, oh, Mr. Kim, I wasn't able to do this because of this A, B, and C, there's no proof of that. And I'm just going to give you a 0 for it no matter what. Okay? It's going to be as hard for me to grade all of these things online. It makes it much more difficult for me to do. So on your end, I need you guys to follow these instructions so that it's going to make it easier for me myself especially to grade on time. And everything is pictures, so it's going to be hard for me to read everything and read your handwriting and all that stuff. So please upload everything on Google Classroom and everything should be on time. Okay, every late test and quizzes will be a 50 from this point onwards. Quizzes, you guys know there's 2 retakes. That's it. That's the only retakes I will be ever accepting from this point onwards. Tests, guys, tests are 30% of the grade. If I assign you guys a test is coming up, and if you guys don't do it with a designated time frame, I'm giving you a 50. I'm giving you a 50 even if you get 100. I'm sorry, but that's just the way it's gonna be, because I am sick and tired of going through my classroom list of people who has turned it in or not. It really kills me the time. So I am not going to babysit you guys on everything that you guys need to do. Please, whatever I uploaded for you guys to be done on time, just keep on track of what needs to be done. Check Google Classroom daily. Not like every week, every 2 weeks, daily. Because I assign you guys to do work on a daily scale. NJSLA is canceled, which means there's a lot less work that needs to be done. I guarantee you from this point onwards, your work that needs to be done on a daily scale will be very, very short. Like a couple questions. If you guys don't have enough time to do even 3 or 5 questions a day, that's a plain excuse that I'm not even willing to accept no matter what. Okay? Do not send me an email for late submission or excuses, because I will not be accepting them. I will not be even responding to them from this point onwards. You will be able to retake up to 2 quizzes, and that will be it, as you guys already know. Do not put all the late assignments towards the end and submit it for partial credit like we have done for marking period 3. Now for marking period 4, this is a summary of it. Like, this is going to be your last final shot at making your grade for the entire year to look good. So pay attention. Make sure you submit work on time. Remember, classwork is 0 no matter what. If you turn in it late. Don't ask me, oh, Mr. Kim, you gave me 0 for this even though I submitted. Why? My answer to that for that is because it was late. Okay? Let's say something was due at 11:59 p.m. and you submitted at 12:01 a.m. That's fine. But if you submit to me at like 12:45 a.m., you guys know that that's not acceptable. Like, just think about it rationally. Like, how much time frame is really acceptable? Like, couple 5 minutes to 10 minutes plus and minus, that's fine. Like, plus and minus 10 minutes. But like, if it's like 30 minutes, half an hour, 45 minutes late, I'm not accepting it. I hope that this clarifies a couple things. If you guys have any questions, detail regarding this, leave a comment in the video. For today, our main objective is to find out the explicit formula for arithmetic sequence, to be exact. Okay, so please have a notebook out and make sure you guys take notes on these things. Okay. Now, the reason why we're doing this is for us to be able to find questions like these. What is the 10th term of the following sequence? For those of you guys who remember what we had learned 2 weeks ago, we had talked about sequences, specifically arithmetic and geometric. Somewhere in your notes, you should have what's the difference between these two. Arithmetic is when you're adding or subtracting. Geometric is when you're multiplying or dividing, right? So when you guys are adding or subtracting between the terms, that's called arithmetic sequence, and that's the only thing that we're going to be dealing with today. Geometric sequence, we'll be dealing with it tomorrow, or on Thursday, my apologies. Explicit formula allows us to calculate something like this, where they ask you to find the number, the nth term. We call this the nth term of the sequence. Now, if I were to give you a list of these numbers, 1, 5, 9, 13, you guys can kind of figure out that this is arithmetic because every single time you're adding by 4s. But if I were to ask you for the 5th term, it would be 17, and that's easy because you just have to add the 4. But what if I were to ask you for the 10th term? What if I were to ask you for the 100th term? Are you guys going to keep on adding 4s like crazy and go to the 10th term and the 100th term? No, that would be stupid because that's going to take you so much time to do so. Even if you have a calculator, you're not going to just plus 4, plus 4, plus 4 all the time. That's going to make your fingers tired. So what this explicit formula allows us to do is for us to calculate something like this very quickly. You need to come up with a formula that allows us to calculate something like this, the 10th term of the sequence, the 11th term, or the 100th term of the sequence quite easily. Okay? So how do we do that? Well, it all comes down to this formula right here. And I need you guys all to write this down on your notes. A sub n is equal to the a sub 1 plus n minus 1 times d. And I'm going to go over with you guys what all of this means. A nth means the A of the nth term. Okay, so if I wanted to find the 10th term, for example, from the previous, I would substitute n as 10. I want to find the 10th term. A sub 1, I say A sub 1 because it means a subscript. So that's how we usually pronounce it, subscript 1. So A sub 1 means the first term of the sequence. Because the subscript in subscript tells us the number of position in the list of those numbers. So this is the very first term that we're dealing with. Okay, that's the first term. And now the n minus 1 here, the n number here, this is the number for the n, well, the number of terms here, but whatever this number was from the previous, like this number and this number should be exactly the same. So if it was the 10th term of the sequence, n would just be 10. But notice how you're going to subtract the 1 from it. Like you're subtracting 1 from the n, and we'll go over why that is. And then you're multiplying by what we call the common difference, d. This is called the common difference. Hope you guys know what that means. Common difference is how much differs from the first term and the second term and the third term, and so on. And that's what we call the common difference here. Okay, so make sure you have this on your notes and use this example. I use this formula. Let's go back to the this question here. Okay, and I'm going to erase all of this. So what is the 10th term of the following sequence? It's going to be very easy for us to find that out by using our explicit formula. A sub n is equal to a sub 1, the first term, plus n minus 1 times d. First, what we need to establish is all of these things intact. First, the n is the 10, so I'm going to say a sub 10 is equal to, what is our very first term of the sequence? It's 1. Plus, n was 10 because, like I said, this number and this number has to be the same, minus 1 times d. Well, I'm sorry, d has to be the common difference here. And what is the common difference? You always have to figure it out by taking the second term and subtracting the first term. The common difference here is 4. Now, how does this formula come to being? Well, it turns out to find the 10th term, what we need to do is we always need to start from the very first term, and we need to keep on adding 4s to it, right? But how many times do we add the 4s? Well, we add the 4 9 times. Why? Because we already have the first term here already. If we keep on going 9 more times, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, we essentially find out the 10th term, which is a sub 10. But we don't know what that is, and that's our main goal. To figure that out, though, we have to simply calculate how many times are you going from the nth term to the first term, which is 9. That's where this n minus 1 comes from. And you multiply that by what's my common difference? How many times are you adding that? What's the number that you're adding up each by? Well, if you're adding 4 each time and there's 9 times in total, you have to do 9 times 4. That's what times d is about. You simply add that to the first term, and you add it because it's the arithmetic sequence. And then that will allow us to figure out our final destination. Pretty simple. Arithmetic sequence in the explicit formula will always follow this format, and when you do this in the calculator, 1 plus 9 times 4, you should get a 37, and that should be your 10th term. Let's use that and find out what this would be. Find the 8th term of the sequence. In this particular case, you will have a geometric sequence of every single time you're dividing by 2 or multiplying by half. So we're not going to be doing this problem. We're going to be doing that problem tomorrow, on Thursday, geometric sequence. Okay, so we are going to figure out this one would not be quite necessary. Let's try doing these problems. And since these are both arithmetic sequence, it will be very easy for us to do one of them together. And then I would like you to do 8 on your own. Now, the very first question actually, it starts with -4, -7, -10, and -13. And this is find 3 terms in the sequence after the last one. But instead of doing that, I would like you to find out the 17th term, let's say. Because it's going to be hard, it's going to be easy for us to find the next 3 terms, right? You just have to keep on applying the common difference, d, every single time. But that's so easy, and I want you to find out something like this by using what we call the explicit formula. Let's go back to our explicit formula format. It says that a sub n is equal to a sub 1 plus n minus 1 times d. That will be held true for any arithmetic sequence. And so I'm going to apply it here. My first term would be negative 4. I'm trying to look for the 17th term of the sequence plus 17 minus 1 times d. Well, what is my common difference here? The common difference here, guys, is negative 3 because you're adding negative 3 every time to go from negative 4 to negative 7 to negative 10. So you're multiplying that by negative 3. And by doing so, when I do this times negative 3, that's 16 times negative 3, which gives you negative 48. And you add that with a negative 4, what's my final answer? Negative 52. And if you guys were to do this painstakingly by hand, subtract 3 every single time for the next 13 more times, you will be able to end up with negative 52 as your final destination. Okay? How about this question? Please pause the video, okay, and try doing this number 8 on your own. And play it again once you have the question ready. Okay, so a sub n is equal to a sub 1 plus n minus 1 times d. Again, n is 17. And I want to figure out what's going to be the value a sub n when the 17th term of the sequence. So the very first term here is negative 26. A sub 17 is what I'm looking for, plus 17 minus 1. What's really the other thing that I really need to solve for is what is going to be my common difference. So I have to take my second term, subtract the first term. Remember, negative makes it a positive, so negative 34 plus 26 should give you negative 8 as my common difference. What that means is subtract 8 on every single term from the previous term, and I should be able to get the succeeding term. And it should make sense. Like negative 42 minus 8 should give you negative 50, and so on. So I put negative 8 right there. I let my calculator do the work for me, so this becomes a sub 17 is equal to negative 26 plus 16 times negative 8. Well, 16 times negative 8 should give you negative 128, and then you do negative 26 from that, so you're subtracting, so that's simply like adding those two numbers, but you have to put a negative sign in front of it, so that way will give you negative 154 as my final answer. Okay? Hope this video helped. Make sure you guys understand this portion. All you guys are going to be doing is you guys are going to be finding the nth term of the sequence by using this what we call the explicit formula of the arithmetic sequences. Okay? Take care of yourself. Please be safe. Have a nice day.